What if I told you that the most viral true crime case of our generation wasn't solved by detectives or FBI agents, but by millions of strangers scrolling through Instagram? What if the key evidence wasn't found in a forensic lab, but hidden in plain sight across social media posts, YouTube vlogs, and TikTok videos? This is the story of Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old whose dream of van life freedom became a digital breadcrumb trail that led the entire internet on the most massive crowdsourced murder investigation in history. In July 2021, Gabby Petito embodied everything the Instagram generation aspired to be. At 22, she had transformed herself from a small-town Long Island girl into a van life influencer with big dreams and bigger plans. The trip was planned to last for 4 months and began on July 2, 2021, as Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie had set out in July in a converted van to visit national parks in the West. But here's where the story gets its unique viral edge. Gabby wasn't just living the van life dream. She was meticulously documenting it for a generation that consumed lifestyle content like oxygen. Every sunrise yoga session, every scenic overlook, every spontaneous adventure was carefully curated for maximum engagement. She was building a brand, and that brand was freedom. What nobody realized, including Gabby herself, was that this digital documentation would become the most comprehensive real-time record of a relationship's descent into violence and murder that the world had ever seen. Every post, every story, every seemingly innocent photo was actually evidence. Every smile was hiding something darker. Every perfect couple moment was masking a tragedy in progress. The van life community that Gabby was trying to join represented something deeper than just travel content. It was about escaping societal expectations, traditional career paths, and the suffocating predictability of conventional life. For a generation drowning in student debt and housing costs, van life offered hope, a way to live beautifully on a budget while building an online following that could potentially support this alternative lifestyle. Gabby understood this cultural moment perfectly. Her content wasn't just about pretty locations, it was about selling a vision of what life could be. Every post whispered to her followers, "You too can escape. You too can be free. You too can turn your dreams into content and your content into a career." On August 25th, the final post was made on Petito's Instagram account, which consisted of photos of herself taken in front of a butterfly mural outside a restaurant in Ogden, Utah. But here's what makes this post haunting in retrospect. It was perfect. Too perfect. The composition, the lighting, the caption, everything about it screamed professional content creation rather than spontaneous van life documentation. Industry experts who later analyzed Gabby's posting patterns noted that this final post was dramatically different from her usual style. Was it actually posted by Gabby? The timing, location data, and stylistic differences suggest it might not have been. This single Instagram post became one of the most analyzed pieces of digital evidence in true crime history, dissected by millions of armchair detectives who noticed inconsistencies that law enforcement initially missed. The butterfly symbolism wasn't lost on the internet sleuths who would later descend on this case. Butterflies represent transformation, rebirth, and freedom, everything Gabby was seeking. But they also represent something fragile, beautiful, and easily destroyed. That final post, whether Gabby knew it or not, was her digital memorial. What's truly chilling is that while this post was going live, Gabby was likely already dead or dying. The perfect Instagram life she'd been building was being used to cover up her murder. Her own social media presence, the thing she'd hoped would set her free, became a tool to hide the truth about what happened to her. 2 weeks before Gabby's disappearance, something happened that would later become the most crucial piece of evidence in the case, and it wasn't discovered by police. It was found by internet users who never stopped digging. Petito, visibly distraught, could be seen wiping away tears as she told authorities she was struggling with her mental health after the incident in Moab, Utah, came about 2 weeks before Petito last communicated with her family. But here's the viral angle that traditional media missed. Domestic violence experts who watched the body cam footage didn't just see a routine police call. Victim advocates who watched the police body camera footage of Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, say there are lessons to be learned from both of their behaviors. The footage revealed something that millions of people recognized but law enforcement missed. Gabby was displaying classic signs of being an abuse victim. She was taking blame for Brian's behavior, minimizing the violence, and protecting her abuser even while seeking help. The internet saw what trained police officers didn't, or chose not to see. In the selfie, Petito has a cut on her left cheek with what appears to be blood smeared over her eyelid, under her eye, and up the bridge of her nose. This photo, taken by Gabby herself on the day of the police interaction, wouldn't surface until years later during her family's lawsuit against the Moab Police Department. The body cam footage became viral not just because it was tragic, but because it was recognizable. Millions of people, particularly women, saw themselves in Gabby's responses. They saw their own experiences with gaslighting, manipulation, and abuse reflected in a 22-year-old's desperate attempt to protect the person who was hurting her. When Gabby disappeared, something unprecedented happened. The internet became a detective agency. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie left a long digital trail before their US road trip somehow went wrong. This wasn't just people sharing missing person posts. This was algorithmic investigation at scale. TikTok users started analyzing GPS metadata from Gabby's photos. Instagram sleuths began mapping her journey and comparing it to timeline discrepancies. YouTube viewers scrutinized every frame of the couple's vlogs for signs of trouble. Reddit communities formed specifically to crowdsource the investigation. Facebook groups dedicated to van life became investigative war rooms. Discord servers popped up overnight where thousands of users collaborated on mapping, timeline analysis, and evidence gathering. The viral nature of Gabby's case wasn't just about tragedy, it was about participation. For the first time in true crime history, millions of people could actively contribute to solving a case in real time. Every person with a smartphone became a potential investigator. Every social media platform became a crime lab. This collective digital detective work accomplished something remarkable. It kept Gabby's case in the public eye when it might have otherwise been forgotten. Missing persons cases typically fade from media attention within days. Gabby's case stayed viral for months because there was always new digital evidence to discover, new theories to explore, new connections to make. Laundrie returned to his parents' home in Florida without her on September 1st, and her family reported her missing. But here's what made this detail go viral. Brian didn't just come home without Gabby, he came home and acted like nothing had happened. He went on bike rides. He did yard work with his parents. He went about his normal routine while his fiancée's family desperately tried to reach him asking where she was. All of Gabby's family want the world to know that Brian is not missing, he is hiding, the Petito family attorney said. This behavior pattern became the most discussed aspect of the case on social media. Psychology content creators made videos analyzing Brian's actions. True crime podcasters dedicated entire episodes to the significance of his silence. The internet collectively recognized something that felt fundamentally wrong about his response. The viral question that dominated every platform was simple: what innocent person acts like that? Brian's behavior after returning to Florida became more damning than any physical evidence. It was the kind of guilty behavior that millions of people could immediately recognize and understand. When Brian disappeared, the case reached peak viral status. The FBI confirmed Thursday that it had found the remains of Brian Laundrie, bringing a grim end to the weeks-long manhunt for the 23-year-old fiancé of Gabby Petito and the only person of interest in her death. But before his body was found, the internet went absolutely wild. Dog the Bounty Hunter came out of retirement. Psychics offered their services. Drone enthusiasts scoured the Florida swamplands. The case became a real-life video game where millions of players were trying to find the same person. TikTok users posted daily updates from the Carlton Reserve where Brian was believed to be hiding. Instagram accounts dedicated to the search gained hundreds of thousands of followers overnight. YouTube live streams of the search areas attracted viewers from around the world. The Brian Laundrie manhunt became content. And not just any content. It became the most engaging, most shareable, most addictive true crime content the internet had ever seen. People weren't just following the story, they were living it, breathing it, dreaming about it. The FBI confirmed Tuesday that the remains found over the weekend in Grand Teton National Park were those of Gabby Petito, the Florida woman who went missing during a cross-country trip with her fiancé, with searchers from agencies including the FBI and the Teton County Sheriff's Office on Sunday finding a body believed to be that of missing woman Gabby Petito. When Gabby's body was found, the internet experienced something unprecedented: collective grief for a stranger. Millions of people who had never met Gabby felt like they had lost a friend. They had followed her journey, analyzed her photos, studied her videos, and invested emotionally in her story to a degree that was historically impossible before social media. The Grand Teton National Park put out a missing person post on its Instagram page Wednesday with Gabby Petito's picture. Even national parks were participating in the digital search effort, using their social media platforms to amplify the search for someone they had never met. The location where Gabby was found became a pilgrimage site. People drove hundreds of miles to leave flowers, rocks, and written messages at the Spread Creek camping area. These memorial visits were documented and shared across social media, creating a feedback loop of grief and remembrance that kept the case viral even after it was essentially solved. A Netflix documentary explores the life and death of Gabby Petito, with the Netflix documentary series American Murder, Gabby Petito including text messages. But here's what makes Gabby's case uniquely viral. It was the first true crime story that was born digital, lived digital, and was solved digital. Traditional media was always playing catch-up to what the internet had already discovered. Netflix didn't break the story, TikTok did. CNN didn't solve the case, Reddit did. The 2025 Netflix documentary wasn't just telling Gabby's story, it was telling the story of how the internet had already told Gabby's story. It was meta-content about content, a documentary about a case that was documented in real time by millions of amateur documentarians. This case proved that the democratization of information and investigation tools had fundamentally changed how crimes are solved and stories are told. Gabby's case wasn't just viral, it was the template for how viral true crime cases will work in the future. But there's a darker side to this viral phenomenon. The same digital tools that helped solve Gabby's case also created problems. Innocent people were falsely accused. Families of other missing persons felt ignored because their cases weren't viral enough. The disparity in attention between missing white women and missing persons of color became glaringly obvious. The missing white woman syndrome that Gabby's case exemplified sparked important conversations but also uncomfortable truths. Why did Gabby's disappearance generate millions of social media posts while thousands of other missing persons cases received virtually no attention? The internet's obsession with Gabby's case also revealed the thin line between justice and entertainment. Were millions of people genuinely trying to help, or were they consuming tragedy as content? The massive true crime industry that grew around Gabby's story raised ethical questions about profiting from trauma. What made Gabby's case the perfect viral storm? It combined several psychological elements that make content irresistible. Visual storytelling. Gabby was photogenic, and her content was professionally produced. The case had a visual narrative that worked perfectly for Instagram and TikTok. Relatable protagonist. Gabby represented aspirational lifestyle content that millions of young people connected with. She wasn't just a victim, she was a symbol of dreams deferred. Mystery elements. The case had layers of digital evidence that could be analyzed and reanalyzed. There were always new theories to explore and evidence to discover. Clear antagonist. Brian's behavior made him an obviously guilty party in the court of public opinion. People need someone to direct their anger toward. Participatory investigation. Unlike traditional true crime stories, this case allowed millions of people to actively contribute to the investigation. Social justice angle. The case highlighted important issues about domestic violence, police response, and missing persons cases. Gabby's case changed everything. Police departments now monitor social media for missing persons cases. True crime content creators have built entire careers analyzing similar cases. Van life influencers discuss safety protocols that didn't exist before Gabby's murder. The case also changed how domestic violence is discussed on social media. The body cam footage became educational content, helping millions of people recognize signs of abuse. Gabby's story became a cautionary tale and a learning tool simultaneously. Dating apps started incorporating safety features. Solo travel content creators began emphasizing safety protocols. The van life community developed buddy systems and check-in procedures. Gabby's death sparked practical changes that may have saved other lives. Today, Gabby's social media accounts remain frozen in time, a digital memorial to a life cut short. Her final Instagram post still receives comments from strangers around the world. Her YouTube channel continues to gain subscribers years after her death. The Gabby Petito Foundation, created by her family, uses social media to continue her advocacy work and help other families dealing with missing persons cases. Her digital legacy lives on through the very platforms where her story first went viral. But perhaps most importantly, Gabby's case proved that in the digital age, no crime happens in isolation. Every victim has the potential for millions of advocates. Every case has the possibility of viral justice. Every story matters in ways that were never possible before social media. Gabby Petito's case taught us that digital evidence never dies. Everything posted online becomes permanent evidence that can be analyzed, cross-referenced, and used to establish timelines and motivations. Crowdsourced investigation works. Millions of people working together can accomplish investigative feats that small police departments cannot match. Viral justice has power. Public attention can force accountability from law enforcement and keep cases alive when they might otherwise be forgotten. Social media can save lives. The visibility created by viral content can lead to faster responses, better resources, and ultimately justice for victims. The internet remembers everything. There's no hiding from digital footprints, GPS metadata, or the collective memory of millions of users. The question that keeps Gabby's case viral even today isn't, who killed Gabby Petito? We know that answer. The question is, how do we prevent this from happening again? Every young woman planning a solo trip now thinks about Gabby. Every couple documenting their travels considers what their content might reveal. Every parent of a social media-savvy young adult has conversations about digital safety and domestic violence warning signs. Gabby's case went viral because it represented something larger than one tragic murder. It represented the collision between dreams and reality, between the perfect life we project online and the messy, dangerous reality we sometimes live offline. In the end, Gabby Petito achieved her dream of internet fame, just not in the way she ever imagined. Her story became the most shared, most analyzed, most discussed true crime case of the digital age. Millions of people who never met her now know her story, remember her name, and think about her impact on their own lives. The van life influencer who dreamed of freedom became something she never expected. A symbol of how the internet can demand justice, create community, and ensure that no victim is ever truly forgotten.